Alright, welcome back. I think my beard length is a bit different than when I started this progress. The KX80 behind me here. Shipping has been an absolute nightmare with the COVID and everything else going on here. 6 weeks to get a set of gaskets in. It's now 1st of October. We were going to put a top end in it, but the thing still hasn't even shipped. It's been 6 weeks, so I don't know what the heck is going on. I had to cancel that order. I started to reorder another one, and the owner just wants me to put it together so his kid can drive it for a week. And the piston should be changed since I got it all apart anyways to fix the bottom end problem. There is some scoring, but it's an old bike. So we're going to throw it together. Let the kid drive it for maybe a month before the snow hits up here. So he'll get a little riding in his bike before we put it away, and we'll redo the top end in the spring. But the procedure's the same, and that's what you're here for anyways. So here's how you put your top end together. The other thing that was gone was the flywheel, and it's oval, so it was banging around in there, which everybody thought it was a bad crankshaft. Turned out to be a flywheel. So we got that pretty quick, but we were waiting on the top end forever. Okay, so as with any build, first part is of course cleaning up your gasket surfaces. For aluminum, I like to go with a wire wheel, a softer bristled one on a drill on high, and it does a pretty good job. You can get in around things. This is an old bike. It's had many top ends put into it, so there's always going to be a little bit of crap left over and dings and nicks. You just want to make sure it's as flat and smooth as you can get it and clean. When I was doing it, I had a rag stuffed in here so nothing falls in. These spots you're seeing is actually the paint that the KX has had, just parts that are worn off. So your piston pin bearing, make sure you don't forget that. Okay, so you can leave the one clip in, pull your pin out so it's clear of the top of the connecting rod, front where the holes in this piston are, and there's also an arrow point denoting the front. Don't worry about the rings for now, and you just slide that on and push the pin in. All right, it should bottom out against the pin the clip that you have in. All right, as with all the other builds I do, put a rag around here so that you don't drop your clip into any of these cooling passages or into the bottom end of the crank. There's your clip we're going to put back in. Remember, there's a cutout on the side of your piston, so the opening on these clips is opposite of that cutout. Okay, there you can see the clip partially in. Again, I just start one end and kind of work around, and it clicks right in like so. Okay, there's your top end kit from Kawasaki. I've used them before on quite a few builds and never had a problem. It looks like a pretty decent head gasket, and you even get a sticker for your bike. I don't know why they don't give you two. There's two sides to the bike, but anyway, cheap buggers. Okay, so there's your bottom cylinder gasket. It'll only go on one way. It looks like it could, but the holes are just a little bit offset. Like right now it's backwards. The bottom two holes don't line up. Okay, so you'll know without forcing it that it'll slide right on, no problem, if it's the right way. Alright, honing out the cylinder, I just use a ball hone. They are specific to the size. There's a range that you can use. Mineral oil, or I just use diesel. Drill on low speed. Again, an old bike that's just going to be used on the family property. The owner don't want to spend a lot of money. You can see their cylinder's got some scoring. It is an 87. I bet that'll run. Okay, I already coated down the piston with a bunch of 10W30 clean oil. And see, it's running all over the place. Now, I should have showed you earlier. Okay, there's an old piston from a different bike. Same idea. You see here where the pin is. This one's mangled because somebody put it together wrong. That pin There's two of them on here, one for each ring, so you have to locate that. Those are where your gaps go. If you put them anywhere else, that happens, right? You end up chewing up a perfectly good piston because the ring didn't go to the right spot. Okay, I'll show you where those pins are on this one. The bottom pin, this is the intake side of the engine. Bottom pin is located right there. Top pin is located right there. So they're offset on either side of the intake. Okay, so we're going to put that cylinder on now. You can see the rings are basically in place. I just need to squeeze them in. But as I do it, pull the rod up to the top. It gives you more room to work. All right. And all you're going to do, I'm trying to do this so you can see, is squeeze it and hold on to these. You have to do them both at the same time because they're so close together. All right, you can see how the gap's closed up quite a bit. And then you just start your cylinder down, like so. All right, there shouldn't be a lot of force. If there's a lot of force, the chances are those things have popped out. You can see how easy that moves, right? Very easy, not a whole lot of friction. All right, so once that's done, line up your cylinder and slide her down. You can see how easy that's rotating. That's what you're looking for. If it's tight, one of those rings, or both, is probably not where it's supposed to be. Pull it apart and have another look. And again, this one's a little worn, a lot worn. So it's going to be looser than a new one would be. But again, there should be no binding or anything like that. Alright, so at that point you can do your 4 cylinder nuts. This one, the casting is real fun to torque. I think there's only one you can actually get a socket on, so you need to use the crow's foot or something like that to get in there. Even with those, they're really tricky on this engine. Alright, so cylinder nuts are on, finger tight for now. The head surface is cleaned up. I'm going to go clean that one up. We'll get to work here. Alright, there's our head all wire wheeled up and pretty damn shiny. You can see this is an 87. It's had more than a few piston failures in its time. So it's a little banged up and a little the worse for wear, a lot like me, but still there's absolutely nothing wrong with that head that a wire wheel couldn't sort out. Okay, gasket. Sometimes they'll put a top or an up on them. This one doesn't have anything. And it's been in the package a while. You can see here it's kind of curved a bit. Obviously the tab goes to where the tab is on the cylinder and the head. You can see it there. It'll only go on one way. All right, dry, no silicone or anything like that. And let's just knock this sucker on. Okay, this is again, it's an 87. It's had plenty of head work. These studs are a little bit off kilter, and I don't want to risk bending them or breaking them, so we'll deal with them being a little bit off kilter. And you can see I just had to knock it out with my hand. Okay, the nuts are specific. You could use other nuts, but these are a lock nut style. All right, you can see they have grooves on them, little teeth that bite into the aluminum. Same for the cylinder ones. So if you are going to replace these, make sure you have some plan for locking them up. All right, that's said and done. We're going to tighten these suckers down and get on with the show. Okay, torque specs, which is probably the main reason everybody's coming to this video anyways. But hey, if you do, hit that subscribe button anyways. Help a brother out. 18 foot-pounds. 18 foot-pounds for both the head and the cylinder bolts. Again, the bottom ones are a nightmare. You need a tool like this to get at them. All right, you can't get a regular socket. This one you can, but the other three you can't get a socket on. So how you do it is you put it on like that, put your torque wrench into here, and do your torque. All right, head's torqued. The one bolt that I can actually get at is torqued, and I'll do the other ones. My battery is about to die. Okay, torqued up real quick. I just screwed a spark plug in there by hand, and we got pretty decent compression.